All right, well, welcome back to the Homeschool Shopping Channel. My name is Mackenzie and I am your host. And today I have a ton of language arts resources, specifically the ones I'm using with my grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3 children. Okay, there's only 2, but we're doing like a combination of grades. And I group teach a lot of these, which means we sit on the couch, I go through them. So sometimes they're a little older, sometimes they're a little younger. So you'll notice there's not a lot of handwriting in them, just because handwriting is a separate subject and we wouldn't cover as many topics because handwriting is not easy for them. So that's just a separate subject that we do, not topic. But anyway, let's get to it because I got some cool stuff, some see insides. Now, first, I'm going to show you a book that you might find interesting. Also, a lot of these products are secular and some are Christian. And I'll let you know which ones, but you can obviously see like the first book I'm going to show you, which is just a book of the day that I thought you might like, is Inside Noah's Ark for Kids, because it's kind of cool just because it's like a see inside. It's a board book, but it's a see inside. So some would just wander or waddle around and others would hide or hang upside down. So kind of cool just to see what it looks like. So there you go. There you go. And that is, again, I'm almost at the end here, is Noah's Ark for Kids. I also have a couple items that are used for gifted children as well throughout here. One item that's generally used for gifted kids that I'm using for my kids as well. And one product that I wouldn't buy, whatever. I bought half of it and then the other half I was like, no, I'm not gonna buy that. Okay. So let's take a look. First, we're doing read alouds. These are not Christian. These are the Tuttle twins. So these are a lot of read alouds of what we did. This is the miraculous pencil. So it shows how many countries and people create this pencil. So as you can see, they're books that we do them as read alouds because my children do read, but not speedy enough to I do a lot of the reading out loud. So it's just where the pencil's made from, how much how much work goes into making a product that you think may be like, oh, just made right around the corner. So they use a pencil as an example. And this is another one. Again, we do a lot of read alouds, and this is the Tuttle Twins and the Golden Rule. My children really love this one. So they go to camp, and the Golden Rule is, and it's a rule that's in many societies, which is essentially do unto others you want them. Like if you do revenge, well, then there's revenge and there's blowback, right? Justice is when balance is restored, when a wrong is made right, but revenge is not justice. Revenge just adds another wrong. Okay, so that's what they learn at camps. That's the Tuttle Twins. I've read quite a few Tuttle Twins books, and some I like, and most I really like, and every once in a while there's one that I don't care for, but not too often. Okay, so let's talk different products. These are products that we're going through, so when we finish a book, we're going to just go on to the next book. Now we're doing reading, and our reading consists of, did I bring it? Oh, of course, the one book I didn't read. Oh, I did. All right, so let's start with read alouds. So read alouds, we are doing 1A, so that's grade 1. We're just going through and reading them. And this is, let me show you the beginning. So it'll start with these words, read the words, say the sounds, read the words, and then it'll have a story, right? So then we read the story about that. And then it'll have read the sight words, now read the phrases, and yeah. And anyway, so this is Abeka. So I have all the Abeka readers. Each one's about 100 pages, but they're about $14 a reader. So they are pricey. I have all of them up to grade 4. So 1A, so they're not that interesting when you start reading, but they're still interesting enough. But anyway, that's what we're practicing reading on and improving our reading with. But we do read a lot of different stuff as well. So I'm going to show you another read aloud that I'm doing this is by, I believe this is BJU Press. BJU Press, Reading to A, All God's Creatures. So look through this. This is pretty cool. This I bought used. So it has fiction, nonfiction. It's got, now this is Christian. So these books are Christian. So you can't, if you're not Christian, you can't use them. But only because it'll irritate you. So story clues. A story title gives you the clue of what the story is about. Okay, and a picture gives a clue about the story. All right, so it's just teaching you common sense stuff. Now look when we go through, and now it has reoccurring themes. Like, so a few times through this book, it's like a story character is a person or animal in the story. We learn about a character 3 ways: how the character looks, what the character says, and what the character does. Okay, and then at the end, it's got some questions. So you don't need, and this is a nonfiction, so it does have different things like what I know, what I learned, what I want to learn, and what I did learn. So it's kind of interesting. We read it today, and then we talk about it. We don't like sit down and it says write it out. We don't do that. A, because it takes a lot of time. Because we're not proficient writers, it would just take schooling like hours longer. So we just don't do that. Yeah, so Lost and Found. It's got a little poem because here it's sound effect words. So kind of cool, kind of cool. Let me move over here. Maybe the lighting's a bit better. Okay, and so then here is, they call it, this is the only thing I think is strange, is that they call it a realistic fiction, which I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing. I never heard of that, but whatever. Sure, we'll call it a realistic fiction. Remember, 3 ways to learn about character. How they look, what they say, and what they do. That's just through a story how we learn about like Hachu, this guy's got allergies. He tries all different pets. It's pretty interesting. And this is a problem, solving a problem. Problem is something needs to be solved. So sometimes stories also solve problems. So what is the problem? Yeah, so what is the problem that Fitz has here? So in this story, okay? So you get it, there's 2A and 2B. We are working on 2A. Next up, these are definitely Christian. These are Can Brown Eyes Be Made Blue? Very good. I'm going to order their little lights. They're called little lights. I'm going to order a bunch of them. I ordered one to test it out, and even my 6-year-old was like, can we read it again? So she says, hey, why are my eyes brown? She asked her mom, why is her eyes brown? And she said, and then she asked her mom, does God answer prayers? Okay, good. I'm going to pray to God and tell God to make my eyes blue. And so then she's all disappointed because God didn't make her eyes blue. And her mom's like, hey, sometimes you don't know why God didn't answer your prayer in the way you wanted to. Or he answered it and said no, and you don't know why. Well, years later, she's there and she's saving babies in India. And she realizes that God gave her brown eyes because when a new little baby looks up to her eyes, it would scare him if he saw blue eyes. But because he sees brown eyes, it's more familiar to him. And so her prayer was answered, but just not for years, okay? So I'm going to order a bunch of these because they all have different lessons and they're interesting. So I quite like them. We are doing grammar and punctuation. This is very interesting. We sit and we just talk about it, and like I have one kid on one side, one kid on the other side, and I say, okay, circle the sentences, and I say, like I'll say, okay, is this a sentence or not a sentence? Is this a sentence or not a sentence? And then they each take turns for the most part. And so this is make a sentence. That's rule 1. Rule 2 is a sentence begins with a capital letter. When we do use handwriting. Yeah. So yes or no, does a sentence begin with a capital letter? So this is also how we go through it pretty quickly. And then I see where they might need work next time. Like maybe the youngest didn't totally grasp it. Like a sentence tells something needs a period at the end. He did grasp that, right? It's pretty simple. But what he didn't grasp, for example, was when we got to the I's always capitalized. Sometimes he didn't always get that. And then he did a test for us. He was like, okay, which one's correct? So that one was correct, and that one tried to trick us. But that one was not correct because that was lowercase. But so, anyway, we kind of have fun together. But I make sure that that we're going through and we learn. So the name game, right? So whose name? And then I say, okay. I'll say the one, all right, and we're sitting on the couch while we do this, which names are capitalized? And show me 2 names that aren't capitalized and say the other one. Show me another name that isn't capitalized. And stuff like that. So this is grammar and punctuation. So it's basically 25 important grammar and punctuation rules. It's about $14. You can get it off of Amazon. Asking and telling sentences, but just take the most important thing if you're looking for this book is because they have other versions of this is just to get this cover. This is grade 1. Get this cover. And I think next year or after we finish this, I'll do a grade 2. So it might be this year that we get through this and I'll do the grade 2 version, right? So I don't wait until whatever. Okay, take a look at this. This, I don't necessarily think I'm going to continue with it. This is actually my first foray into Explode the Code. That's not how we learn to read. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's just, I don't know. We're going through it right now. And like today we're like, okay, which one of these is, a compound word? I just think there might be different ways to teach it, but it's still good. Still good, still entertaining. A pig pen. You draw it and say it. But again, we're not utilizing the writing portion. So I just don't know if we'll continue, but I'll give you a thing in to see, because there's just a lot of rules with reading that I feel like we just get to them as they come up. So, because we do a lot of reading and we get to them as they come up. And as I read, I'm telling you, we read so much. So as because they can't play any video games till like, or anything on their iPads until 1 o'clock. So when we're up at like 6, right? So we have a lot of time. So we read. How else are you going to pass the time sometimes? So anyway, as something comes up, right? Or I would just utilize something else, because look, sometimes an ending such as full, ing, est, ed, and nis is added to a word to make it a new word. That's just a little intensive, like hopeful, gladness, slanted. So I'd rather just deal with one at a time, like some examples of jumping. That's just how I work. So The Good and the Beautiful has a lot of free things like that through their language arts. So sometimes I print off stuff from there. Like even this tankful, I don't know what tankful is. I really don't. I'm sorry, I don't know what tankful is. Like as I was reading this today, but it's still stealing, speaking, splashing, handing, hanging, banging, stuff like that. But I just don't like how they mix the others. And just for me, one at a time, I'd like to just start with that. Yeah. So with brushing, I don't know which is right. Brush, is it ing or is it lee? That's kind of cool, right? Wilt, tid, wiltless. I know. So sometimes I would just say it and ask them which the correct one. So again, we just learn a lot from reading, because it's not like they have to learn all this stuff this year, right? They don't. And you're homeschooled. You're not behind. You're at your own pace. And we cover a lot of stuff. So I'll go through these pages and decide which one we'll do and which one will not. There was one that was a little confusing. So I was torn right here. This rule right here, I was torn. Because, okay, so when two consonants come between two vowels, the word is divided into syllables between the two consonants. So I will go through that and be like, okay, under, number. So you divide it between the two consonants. So this, I was like, okay, that sounds kind of useful. Like they might find that useful. But then we get over here, and then it's like when a word has two consonants that come between two vowels, the word is divided into syllables between the two consonants. Okay, that's still the same. But I'm telling you, as you get up, all of a sudden, sandal, padlock. Okay, so very cool rule. I think that's great. But then all of a sudden, I don't know where it was, but I swear to you, it was more. I thought it was more. Maybe I was wrong. I might not have read it. That's a possibility. Open and close syllables. So some is a little, I don't know. I like to keep things simple. So we'll see. I'll do it lesson by lesson and see, I'll look at it before. This I won't get again. It's not that I won't get this again. I thought it was pretty cool. But so this was $11 for this book, okay? So I got $11. This is book 1. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, okay, look at these. And then I realized you need the teacher's manual for it, which I didn't know that online. Like, okay, I need the teacher's manual. The teacher's manual is $65. And I'm like, to teach them leap, swamp, trunk, capital, monument, steep, load. I was like, no way. $10 to $15, $20. Okay, $65. So I just sat down and was like, okay, which one's the swamp? Which one's the trunk? Which one's the load? Hey, can you show me some monuments here? And stuff like that. And see what they could kind of figure out. We'll see what they knew and what they didn't. And then if there's something that they didn't know. So I ordered another vocabulary thing that's coming that I'm pretty excited about. But I ordered it from Christian Books. And Christian Books takes, I don't know. I'm so used to Amazon overnight that I have to wait. So I'm like, okay, what's wild? What's liquid? Peak. And then here, some more. So I'm not saying it's not cool. Very cool. I like that there's not a ton of handwriting here. That there's only a bit. I like that. So, but this would be really interesting. I wish we had the stories, because I love reading so much that I wish there was the stories. So I do kind of wish I had it, but I just didn't want to pay the $6. But I might when they're older. Because they kind of know this, like which one's the skeleton. I might flip to the end here. So let's go to the end and see. Because I wanted to see what other words there were. Dim, land, chart, tearful, tilt, whole. So some of these words are interesting, and I'll still go through this with them to see, like, what do you know? View, pattern. But again, astronaut, come on. Exercise, steady. But, it is what it is. So there you go. That's Wordly Lies 3000, which direct academic vocabulary instruction. But I did order one. I think I ordered one from Moor that's coming in that I will show you upon receiving it. Okay, so let me do the pathways. This is for all ages, and this is just if you want reading fluency. So you can start here. You can start on, let me go to the beginning to show you. So you can start up here. Ugh, ugly, ugly, puh, pop. Okay, so you can start there, but really, we just go through here. Bud, buds, pop, Doug, bubs, put, Doug, shuck. But essentially what it is the fluency is getting so fast and so good by the end. And it's especially like whatever. Anyway, so it's kind of cool. Ken has a big fat duck on his big back deck. So that's kind of a tongue twister almost. So it's just to improve reading fluency. So that's what it is. Simple exercises and this guy has, the lowest point is the turn of the tide. I think that might be, act the way you want to be and soon you'll be the way you act. So he has little pieces of advice, that little fella. Anyway, so that's something that we pull out and do occasionally as well. And this is interesting. So this is Jacob's Ladder. This is the Gifted Children Society recommends it. It's not called Gifted Children Society. But so this is where we were. Sometimes I use bookmarks, but I have switched to using, if you saw over here, I have switched to actually using not bookmarks or paper clips. These things, which you can get at Walmart, they are Post-its, but half Post-its that I use for bookmarks. Just because I love books and I don't want to damage them, even though I bought a lot of them used. So there's level A, level 2, level 3, right? So you read the story. So the first story that we read was, I don't know. So these are all like fables. Those are fables, those specific ones. So the ant and the dove, stuff like that. But let me show you one we did do already because I flipped through and I guess I just decided on one. So we did, cause and effect. So I printed this off from K5 Learning just to see if they comprehended cause and effect. So if this is the cause, what would be the effect? So if her flowers look wilted, would it be that she watered flowers, or what's more likely, or that she played with her doll? And so this is the fisherman and his wife. Relatively interesting story. And now my 8-year-old did fine with this. The 6-year-old, not so much, but math is more his strength, whereas the other one, English, is more his strength. Okay, what were the consequences for the wife on her continued demands on the enchanted fish? And then, so that's consequences and implications. And then we have cause and effect. What did the husband's continued willingness to take his wife's demands to the fish have on the wife actions? And then sequencing, again, the 8-year-old was like, yeah, it goes this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, because he could read them as much as the 6-year-old can't read all of the, enchanted fish. It would just be double skills if he were doing it. So put the events in the following order. So anyway, it's is it necessary? Not really, but yeah. It's called Jacob's Ladder. It's a reading comprehension program. So this is grades 2 through 3. So this is elementary 1, grades 2 through 3. Aptly good. So yeah, so then one last thing I wanted to show you. I think what I wanted to show you is in this book. Let's go through this book right here. So these are what I print off, hard and soft G. These are just free printables if you go through, that wasn't. This was from The Good and the Beautiful, right here, the Sneaky E. So I go through their lessons and I print off cane, hop, hope, cut, cute. And then you go through them. Apparently, you're supposed to read them and read them and read them occasionally, not, every second, until they're really fluent, until they can say can, cane, hop, hope, cut, cute, bit, bite, kit, kite, fin, fine. Use, can, cane, and tap tape, okay? So those are some things I print off regarding literacy. Anyway, I hope you saw some cool products. I hope you liked it. That Jacob's Ladder, they have a newer one. I just wanted to try this one. This was $15 online, used. New, again, it's pretty pricey. But the used, it seems sufficient to me, but I can't tell the difference between the new and the used. But anyway, I hope this helped, and I hope you got some ideas from it, and I hope you tune in to the Homeschool Shopping channel again. Au revoir. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like to like.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit the bell for notifications.